Well, looks like all the bad press from Donald Trump's autocratic deportation policy finally made its way to his desk because he took to Truth Social this morning writing, "Our great farmers and people in the hotel and leisure business have been stating that our very aggressive policy on immigration is taking very good, long-time workers away from them, with those jobs being almost impossible to replace. In many cases, the criminals allowed into our country by the very stupid Biden open border policy are applying for those jobs. This is not good. We must protect our farmers, but get the criminals out of the USA. Changes are coming." Next up on News at 10, man discovers that poking himself in the eye hurts. Yeah, dude, of course chasing out the people who build our homes and pick our food is going to be bad for companies who rely on good workers to do exactly that. Trump is just now figuring that out. Perhaps if he wasn't so far up his own ass, he would have listened to literally everyone who had been saying the same thing for years since he's been making these threats. Economists have been warning for decades that mass deportations would devastate agriculture and hospitality and construction and food service. The Congressional Budget Office has repeatedly documented how immigrant workers, including undocumented ones, are essential to entire sectors of the American economy. But hey, very glad that the President of the United States is using the US economy as his trial and error experiment. In fact, this is a recurring theme. Remember when Trump announced his tariff wars would boost manufacturing? We all said that it would cause contraction, he did it anyway, and now manufacturing has been shrinking for months. Remember when he promised 90 deals in 90 days? We all said that his tariffs were a dumb economic policy, he did it anyway, and now we've got no deals other than one preliminary agreement with the UK, a country that, by the way, we have a trade surplus with. And now he's acting shocked that deporting the people who pick our food and build our houses might just cause problems. This is like being surprised that removing all of the mechanics from a garage might make it harder to fix cars. And so now, here's what's happening. Trump is preparing his exit strategy from his own immigration policy, and he's following the exact same playbook that he's used on every other issue. Step 1, make an extreme promise to fire up the base. Step 2, implement the policy with great fanfare. Step 3, reality hits and the policy fails spectacularly. Step 4, blame somebody else and quietly walk it back. And then step 5, pretend the new position was always the plan. We saw this with his tariffs. He announced them with big fanfare, the markets crashed, and then he started offering 90-day pauses and exceptions. We saw it with his 90 deals in 90 days promise, made the claim, failed to deliver, and then started talking about how trade deals take time. And now we're seeing it with immigration. The mass deportations are causing exactly the economic disruption that everybody predicted, so Trump is already laying the groundwork to blame criminals versus good long-time workers, as if there's some meaningful distinction that he just discovered. The guy's administration was quite literally chasing down immigrants in the fields as they were picking crops, and yet now he's pretending that the, quote, good long-time workers are accidentally getting caught up in the system. Take a look at this video. Does this really look like he's going after the hardened criminals?
ICE agents arrived at the field you see behind me earlier this morning. In fact, according to a couple of farm workers we had a chance to talk to, ICE agents arrived right around 6 o'clock this morning. Cell phone video that was posted online right after the raid show ICE agents chasing after some of the workers. ICE hasn't said how many people they detained at this raid earlier today. The agriculture industry in Ventura County is a $2 billion a year industry. That's billion with the B, so raids like this could have a significant impact on what's planted and picked here. One of the workers didn't want us to show his face while he talked to us. Another one was okay with us showing her face, but not giving us her name. One of the workers described what he saw when they arrived to work this morning, and the other talked about the anxiety of coming to work because you don't know if ICE will be coming to your Ventura County field while you're working. Here's what they had to say.
Nomás en la mañana vimos un carro, cuando estábamos en la orilla, vimos un carro venía el coche y los ICE estaban persiguiendo el coche.
A mi temor mío es de que a veces por la necesidad nos obliga a presentarnos a trabajar a donde haya trabajo, pero por todo lo que está sucediendo es un poco difícil para nosotros.
In a written statement to Eyewitness News, a spokesperson for the United Farm Workers Foundation says they're taking innocent people who are trying to build their own American dream. This is not law enforcement. It's a campaign of fear against people whose only crime is living and working in the U.S. This is an injustice, and we are calling on our elected officials to speak out and protect their community members. Again, no word on how many people were detained here at this field.
Yes, who could have possibly guessed that specifically targeting agriculture workers in the fields would have an impact on agriculture? Thank God we've got Donald Trump here in his airtight logic to lead us to greatness. Notice too how Trump is trying to thread this needle. He's not backing down from immigration enforcement. No, he's still trying to get the criminals out of the USA, but now he's discovering that there are very good long-time workers who are different from the criminals we allowed into our country by the very stupid Biden open border policy. Classic Trump. Word salad designed to give him maximum flexibility. He can claim he's still being tough on immigration while quietly scaling back enforcement against the workers that businesses actually need. He gets to blame Biden for the criminals while still taking credit for protecting the good workers. But here's the problem with this distinction. It is complete nonsense. The same enforcement apparatus that goes after the criminals is the one that picks up the very good long-time workers. ICE does not make these fine distinctions when they're conducting these raids. The local police officers cooperating with federal immigration authorities don't know who's been working at the same farm for 10 years versus who just arrived. Trump is trying to create a distinction that doesn't exist in practice because he needs a way to back down without admitting he was wrong. But here's what's really driving this sudden discovery by Trump. His approval ratings are tanking and he knows it. His manufacturing golden age has produced a contraction. His economic policies have crashed the markets. His trade wars have failed to actually garner any trade deals. His military deployments against American citizens have horrified suburban voters. And now his signature immigration policy is creating visible economic pain that even his supporters can't ignore. When farmers in Iowa and hotel owners in Florida, core to Donald Trump's constituencies, start complaining that they can't find workers, that's not just bad press, that's an electoral death knell. Trump's post today reads like a man who's seeing internal polling that shows that his aggressive immigration stance is hurting him with the very business owners who supported him. Here's one example of that.
Vincent, you voted for Donald Trump?
Yes, I did.
6 Nicaraguan men on May 27th were detained along US 1 in Sugarloaf Key on their way to a job. Vincent Scardina is the owner of the roofing company where they worked. Given his support for the president, we asked what he would tell the commander-in-chief.
What happened here? This situation is just totally, just blatantly not at all what they said it was.
While he agrees with most of the president's policies, he thought the Trump administration was going to focus solely on deporting criminals. It seems immigration officials, he says, are just trying to meet quotas now.
Buyer's remorse? I don't know. A little bit. I know of one landscaper that lost 9 or 10 of the whole crew he had, and he's just totally out of business all of a sudden.
It's pretty obvious, I would say, that the reason why they were pulled over is because they're Latino men.
Their immigration attorney says it should not have happened because 5 of the 6 have their paperwork in order with pending asylum cases.
Valid work permit, not even close to be expired. And no criminal record, not here, not in Nicaragua.
Losing these 6 men is losing a third of his workers.
We're not able in Key West to just replace people as easily as, say, a big city. It's financially as well as emotionally. It takes a toll. You get to know these guys. You become their friends, just not an employer, but a friend. And you see what happens to their family. It's quite a shock.
What's most damning about Trump's admission today is what it reveals about his complete lack of understanding of how the economy actually works. This is a guy who genuinely believed that he can remove millions of workers from the economy without any negative consequences. Think about that for a second. Trump apparently thought that he could deport huge numbers of people and somehow the jobs they were doing would just disappear, or that employers would suddenly find eager American workers willing to pick strawberries in 100-degree heat for minimum wage. This is the same economic illiteracy that led him to believe that tariffs would somehow force other countries to pay America money. The same ignorance that made him think that he could negotiate 90 trade deals in 90 days. The same delusion that convinced him that his policies would create a manufacturing boom while they actually caused a contraction. If you are looking for good policy, Do the polar opposite of what Trump's gut says. This immigration pivot is just the latest example of Trump's fundamental unseriousness as a leader. He makes bold promises to win elections, implements policies without understanding their consequences, and then scrambles to clean up the mess once reality intervenes. This isn't Trump being reasonable or pragmatic. This is Trump realizing that his extreme positions are hurting him politically and economically and scrambling to find some way out. The rest of us saw this coming from the beginning. We warned that mass deportations would hurt the economy, that extreme policies would backfire, that Trump's promises were unrealistic and harmful. But Trump didn't listen then, and he probably won't listen now. He'll just quietly abandon his positions, blame somebody else for the problems, and pretend this new stance was always the plan. Rinse and repeat. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.